You found the WMIX Saturday Sports Show on AM 940 and WMIXSports.com. Cared for by Crossroads Community Hospital. The Saturday Sports Show has been recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the top radio programs in the state. That means the very best mix of local sports content is right here. From the powerhouse on Broadway, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
Hey, good morning. Another Saturday morning for you here on the WMIX Saturday Sports Show. Glad to be with you here on WMIX AM, also online at WMIXSports.com. Plenty of talk coming your way today about high school football. Regular season wrapped up last night for many teams. Still a few games remain today, however, only one in the area, or involving area teams, would be, of course, Cahokia and Normal U High. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We'll talk about last night's scores here in just a moment. Of course, remiss if we did not tell you the Saturday Sports Show is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
That it is. All right. WMIXSports.com scoreboard will be coming your way in just a moment, of course, as we have a bevy of last night's scores. Some very interesting scores indeed. The Mount Vernon Rams got a big win last night, of course, over the Mount Carmel Golden Aces. 35-29 was your final in that one. We had it for you on WMIX and WMIX-FM. Video last night on WMIXSports.com. Of course, we'll talk with Jared Shaner of Mount Vernon Rams football. We'll talk with Johnny Hollis coming up today about an upsetting win, I guess you could say, in terms of Red Devils lore, of course, falling to Alvarado Trico last night by a final of 40-30. And then, of course, we'll talk with our WMIX sports correspondents. We'll have Todd Rushing and John Shadowins both. We'll talk about the games they took in last night. We'll talk with Justin Townsend of the Fairfield Mules. Of course, Fairfield knocked off Chester last night, 36-32, to get in the BDC Conference crown. Triumvirate, I guess you could say. Kerry Martin, of course, the Marion Wildcats. Their team got a big win last night over Normandy out of St. Louis. We'll talk with Coach Martin about his team's 7-2 finish. Then also joining us, he is WMIXSports.com, WMIX Sports correspondent Ron Weinmiller, also our football bracketologist. We'll talk with Ron coming up at the 9 o'clock hour. Busy lineup for you today. Should be a great show. We hope you'll stay tuned until 10 o'clock as we take you through the best in high school football talk today on the Saturday Sports Show. And as we take a look at some scores from last night, I think we'll hear some surprises, but also hear some blatantly obvious results as well.
Mount Vernon, of course, won last night 35-29. Then, of course, their opponents, Mount Vernon, was able to get 5 playoff points. Rochester beat Jacksonville 49-24. Muscuda over Centralia 44-7. Altoff came from behind to beat Triad 40-35 in a back-and-forth game. Marion beat Normandy, Missouri, which is out of St. Louis, 62-12, and Carbondale beat Harrisburg 42-14. Mount Vernon gets 5 playoff points last night, with Cahokia hosting Normal U High as another possibility today. The Black Diamond Conference has a 3-way tie. As of right now, if El Dorado can beat Vienna Goreville this afternoon on the road, that is because Fairfield ended the 19-game winning streak in the Diamond of Chester, 36-32. Carmike gets into playoffs with their 6th win on the road at CZR, winning 56-30. As mentioned, Alvarado Trico beat SVWW 40-30, and Johnston City beat Hamilton County 27-2. Games in the river to river involving those teams. Carlisle over Benton 31-0. The Rangers are out. Carterville over West Frankfort 50-16. The Lions are undefeated 9-0. West Frankfort now goes into 14 with a 14-game losing streak. Columbia beat Nashville 42-14. Heron over AJ 42-14. It was Massac County beating Ballard County, Kentucky 41-35. It was Murfreesboro over DuQuoin, 21-0. Pinckneyville over DuPo, 21-16. And Redbud beat Sparta last night, 46-26. Other scores, we'll go a little Illini with this one. Casey Westfield over Marshall, 41-14. Flora over Oblong, 28-6. Lawrenceville beat Red Hill, 36-8. Olney beat Cumberland, 35-13. And Robinson beat Edwards County, 47-6. For those scores and more, go to WMIXSports.com, click on the scoreboard, and the scores from last night are all posted there.
Of course, it'll be a playoff pairings extravaganza tonight. The Mount Vernon Rams will gather in the auditorium on the campus of Mount Vernon Township High School at 7:45. Mount Vernon Rams Gridiron Club encourages you to join them, of course, and celebrate the Rams playoff appearance in 2013. They'll watch the pairings again. They'll gather at about 7:45. The pairings show on IHSA.TV will start at 8 o'clock. And then you can expect the 5A, 6A, that realm in that neck of the woods a little bit later in the 8 o'clock hour. You'll be able to see the Rams celebrate as they find out whom they're going to play in Week 10. And, of course, depending upon who that'll be, actually does not matter who they will play. That game will be on AM 940, 94.1 FM, and video at WMIXsports.com. So the Rams get a big win last night, 35-29 over the Mount Carmel Golden Aces, a mild upset, I guess you could say, talking about that before the show began. And it had the makings to be all Mount Carmel 15-0. They take an early lead. They jump out. We'll talk about this with Jared Shaner in just a moment. But the Rams are able to come back and somehow tie it up. They got a couple of breaks along the way. And without even, I think, having a first down in that first half, they come back to tie it at 15. And a true testament to the never-say-die attitude of the 2013 Rams, who able to come back, tied at 15. And then at the rest of the way, it really seemed like the Rams were in control, aside from a 1-minute drive that the Aces put together in the second half.
Very interesting. In the first half, you saw Mount Vernon get down 15-0, and when they got down, we made comment on the broadcast about this is where Jared Shaner will find out who will want to get in the trenches being down by as many points as they were, and then you'll find out maybe that next week you might be in a similar situation, being in the playoffs against teams that are better or as good as you are. And Jared Shaner found out quickly who want to step up and make a play. The fumble return was huge, then another tying touchdown, then Mount Vernon takes the lead into halftime, and really, Mount Carmel's offense, though potent and had a lot of things going their way last night, really never put together a nice drive to think of in that ball game. You remember the Mount Vernon drive in the third quarter, start the third quarter, 9 minutes, 17 plays, go 80 yards to really kind of hurt Mount Carmel a little bit. And I felt then at that point their defense was a little winded the rest of the second half because Mount Vernon was able to run the ball with some progress and some positive gains. And after that point, Mount Vernon's defense made a couple of sticks. And that's the thing is, Mount Carmel's defense was very good early, got tired, I felt, playing some kids both ways. But I also felt the Mount Vernon defense has improved not only last night with their adjustments, but has improved markedly over the rest of the season.
Well, I thought the nail was hit right on the head last night. Of course, quarterback Reese Metcalf for the Aces, very good out of the shotgun, very good left-handed thrower. But I thought there were some times last night that he just could not connect with his receivers. Looked a little rattled at times when the Rams were able to jump out. And all in all, it seemed like unable to come up with the big play when necessary in the second half after looking so fluid, looking so established in half number one.
Well, the thing was Mount Vernon, I think, probably laid back a little bit early on him and just to kind of get adjusted. The kid's left-handed. It's a different look. You don't have left-handed quarterbacks every week. The second thing is they're running a read option out of the pistol, so sometimes he can get loose. He can pick up some yardage running the football. So when you have a multifaceted quarterback that can leg it and pass it, you have to kind of adjust your defense. You may have to have a scout or a spy in the linebacking core to kind of stay with him. But when Mount Vernon figured out that with a little bit of pressure, Metcalf got happy feet, wanted to run the football a little bit, was trying to force some things, that's when the defense started picking up for Mount Vernon. You could see the secondary get more aggressive with the receivers. Basically, besides the quick hits in the flat, a slant or two here, and maybe a fade route down the sideline, Mount Carmel's offense for passing isn't that fancy. And once you start figuring out those things, your defensive backs especially gain confidence. And I thought Mount Vernon did a good job disguising their defenses. That way Metcalf would have struggle, and, do I throw it? Do I run it? If I get pressure, what do I do? And I think that kept him off his toes all night and ended up into some turnovers as he tried to force some things, especially at the end when he fumbled the game away at the end for Mount Carmel.
There you go. And it was a big win for the Rams. 35-29 was your final. We'll talk about it with Mount Vernon Rams head football coach Jared Shaner coming up after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
The Sonic is a car that has done well for us, and we're moving out the remaining 2013 Sonic. I know people that have come in looking for pre-owned cars and have driven off with a new Chevy Sonic because they're so affordable that they can get into a brand new car with a brand new warranty for basically the same payment. So the Sonic is really a good deal for people.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
And welcome back to Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest, his team, or our first guest, I should say, his team got a big 35-29 win over the Mount Carmel Golden Aces last night. You heard it on WMIX and WMIX-FM. You watched it on WMIXsports.com. He is Jared Shaner of the Mount Vernon Rams. Coach Shaner, a very pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, guys.
Got to be jacked after a 35-29 win over a tough Aces team that comes in undefeated. You get your team to the 6-win plateau, which, let's face it, the Rams were in regardless. But, of course, 6 now guarantees that fact. But you have to be proud of the effort last night, especially after falling behind early.
Absolutely. I think, that was big for our kids to just keep battling. And we've talked about it before. Football is a lot about momentum and who has it. And I just felt like we kind of got it there late in the first, early in the second quarter, and the kids did a good job last night.
Last night, of course, a slow start from your team, down 15-0 early. Could you attribute that to the difference in week as far as, Mount Vernon Conference going on, the kids out of a routine a couple of days, to that slow start by them not being in a usual routine?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what to attribute it to. I just know Mount Carmel came out. I felt like our kids were ready to play. We had a couple good practices this week. Had a walkthrough yesterday morning. Got the kids up and out of bed. But Mount Carmel just came out and was really, really clicking last night early on. And then I think we made a few adjustments defensively and, tried to slow them down a little bit and obviously improved as the game went on.
Down 15-0, we made mention on the broadcast, sometimes coaches find out who or what is going to get in the trenches with you when things aren't going very well. Did that cross your mind? Did you mention that to your team at that point in the ball game?
Yeah, I just tried to stay positive, and that can be tough when things aren't going your way, and you're down 15-0 in the first. I'm doing the math, I'm multiplying in my head and going, well, 60-0 would not be a fun way to end our season in the regular season. So, but just tried to get some of our older guys, some of our leadership to step up and make a play and take that momentum back, and that's exactly what Robert Greider did defensively for us.
Well, and Robert Greider has just been a stud defensively, as has Jacob Williamson and Andrew. Of course, we can go on and on about the Rams' defense, but so many times last night, the bend but don't break philosophy and holding Mount Carmel back. You got a couple of great punts late in the game, of course, from Dylan Reeves, but the Rams' defense late in the game I thought was outstanding. Not only got a nice return for a touchdown earlier, but you just take a look at what the defense did as a whole last night, and I think you have to be proud on what looks to have been one of the better efforts on the season for Mount Vernon Rams football.
Well, I think so. Against a really good team like Mount Carmel, again, it's 15-0 midway through the first quarter, and they score 14 points the rest of the ball game. So that's 2 weeks in a row we've come out and they've moved the ball initially early on, and then our defense has made some adjustments, and coaches and players have done some things a little bit better throughout the game, and again, just really proud of our kids for stepping up and playing hard for 4 quarters.
Start of the second half, you're up 1. Obviously, going in, your team's got to be happy, ecstatic to take a highly ranked Class 3A team and have a lead at halftime. Coming out in the second half, the drive of the game, drive of the year, you go 80 yards, 17 plays, take 9 minutes off the clock. What, if anything, can you tell about the plays called and or what you thought that did to Mount Carmel defensively as far as being fatigued and tired after that drive?
Well, I think you're right on. That was a huge drive for us, just to be able to, just kind of methodically move the ball down the field. We've had some of those this year, and I've also been on the other end of them, and it's a pretty helpless feeling when the other team has the ball and your quarterback, as a coach, your quarterback's standing over next to you, and your offensive guys are standing on the sideline, and there's just nothing you feel like you can do. And I was really proud of our kids, just like I said, just kind of grinding it out. We found a couple things that we felt like were working a little better offensively. We went to a little option game. We lined up in our, kind of our Rhino package and ran straight ahead a little bit. So kids just made enough plays to keep the chains moving. And like you said, I think we burned up 9-something on the clock, and they didn't get to touch the ball until about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left in the quarter.
From there, of course, Mount Carmel's back and forth. I want to talk a little bit, though, about your defense and how much they have improved as the years went on, and also the fact it seemed they started to feel a lot of confidence last night, especially in the secondary and controlling that Mount Carmel spread.
Well, I think you're right. They really have improved. Our kids when they come to practice every week and are very coachable. I think they've again taken coaching really well and trying to improve on some areas that we struggled at early in the year. And we've, when Mount Carmel went into a spread type situation, out of 9 games, that's 6 or 7 teams that are primarily spread that we've faced. Our defensive backs have gotten a lot better. They understand coverages better. They understand weaknesses of certain defenses and how you make up for those. And I just thought, our kids, our secondary kids, defended the pass well. And when they caught the ball, I felt like we were pretty physical in the secondary. We came up and stuck a couple of their guys and didn't let them get yards after the catch.
Well, just a great effort all around for the Mount Rams. Get win number 6 last night. Taking a look at the unknowns now, you do know, however, that you are in the postseason. You find out whom you play tonight. Have you tried? I know you're the type of guy that would have an IHSA school map in your office, much like myself. Are you the type of guy that would try to go through and maybe try to get a glimpse at whom you might play?
Well, I think a lot of coaches do that, and you try to predict. But ultimately, there's still a bunch of Saturday games today. The 256 teams will not technically be known until late this afternoon when all those games are done. Sort of like a domino effect. Today, an 0-8 team could have an effect on the playoffs. And what I mean by that is, maybe an 0-8 team gets an upset on a 4-4 team today. And that makes a difference on who gets in and who doesn't. So there's just literally a bunch of different scenarios, but we have looked at it. I think we could go anywhere from, Springfield, Sacred Heart, Griffin, down south here. So we'll just be excited. Hey, I'm really proud of our kids for their effort last night. I just know, in theory, 6-3 gets you a better game than 5-4 does. So I'm happy that that's where we're sitting.
So go through the motions of today. Do you watch last night's game film? I mean, unlike previous weeks where you know who you were preparing for, you trade films or you gain access to films, I should say. We know you're going to have the gathering tonight in the auditorium, but before that, take us through what your day will be like today.
Sure. Well, I'm sitting outside of school right now. I've locked myself out, so Mr. Olson, our principal, is going to bring me his keys up so I can get in and get my keys back. I'll spend a couple hours this morning doing some film from last night, getting it all uploaded onto the internet, onto our video site, and kind of watching it and taking some notes, and probably look at some other scores from last night and catch some games today as far as high school scores and who's playing and things. We'll take my my oldest boy to basketball practice at J.L. Buford today. Maybe sit back and relax and get my mind off football a little bit and watch him practice some basketball. And then, I think late this afternoon I'll kind of gear up and come back out to school, make sure we got everything ready for tonight, and just, I hopefully just take a little bit of time and, enjoy what's going on and enjoy the ride and not get too caught up in all the stuff, but be able to take a step back and be proud of what we've done this year and excited for next week and where we're going to be headed.
And, of course, you'll find out tonight, and as aforementioned, you guys are going to sit up in the auditorium. I talked to Chris Curry of the Gridiron Club last night, and, of course, they mentioned that the public is welcome to attend tonight. Of course, you guys are going to get that start about 7:45 in the auditorium, and you're going to watch the playoff pairing show, and you guys are going to celebrate when your name is called. And I think that's a pretty cool little thing and a great thing for the team, but an even better thing to share that experience with the fans.
Well, I think so, and I'm glad you brought it up, and we would love to have anybody that wants to come out, and obviously all of our players and their families will be here, and coaching staff, and just a way to again kind of celebrate the accomplishments of the regular season and see who we get to play, where we get to go next week, and where our path takes us. So it's pretty exciting. It's kind of along the lines of March Madness. I know lots of people follow that in college basketball. And teams get together and kind of have that party, and that's kind of what we're going to do tonight. Amen
to that. Coach, any path into the playoffs is a great one, of course. Before we let you slide away, we have the WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week. And this week we want to know, in the spirit of Halloween, of course, coming up on Thursday, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
You wouldn't even have to put the word Halloween in there. I think Reese's Peanut Butter Cups are... If I'm going trick-or-treating and door-to-door and somebody's got Reese's, I'm probably hanging out at their house for a while.
Nice. The old peanut butter cups, outstanding. Maybe you'll get to you know what? You should enjoy a few of those tonight. You've certainly earned it, of course, as the Mount Vernon Rams will take in the playoff selection show tonight, of course. Congratulations again, Coach. We'll talk to you again probably multiple times in the course of the coming week.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
That's Jared Shaner, head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams, and 6-3 has a much better sound to it than 5-4.
5A was some scratching and looking. Highland, I think with Mattoon being in at 5A, that goes that way. I'm looking at Highland, Carbondale, Marion, Jersey, Chatham, Decatur, MacArthur, Mattoon, and Mount Vernon. And I think SHG would get kicked north as of right now to the northern bracket of 5A, which a lot of these teams say good riddance. But, the possibilities are several. Jersey leading the way. I'm not saying that's where it's going to go, but Jerseyville is leading the charge as far as a possibility, as far as based on playoff points and whatnot. And, of course, the records come first in playoff points, so we'll see. But 6-3 does mean a difference in quality of competition rather than having to maybe go to Highland. They're 9-0.
Sure. Or, depending upon how it went, if the Sacred Heart Griffin would have slipped down to the south, or does slip down to the south, it'd be much better than having to go there. But anything could happen. We'll know a lot more later on tonight. Of course, we'll kind of give you some theories when we talk to our WMIX sports bracketologist, Ron Weinmiller, coming up later in the program. But we need to talk with Johnny Hollis of the Cessna-Valera Waltonville Woodlawn Red Devils coming up. I know a disappointing end to the season for the Devils, but we'll talk with them about that and kind of wrap the 2013 Red Devils season after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Complete. That's the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois with a full sports medicine clinic, state-of-the-art MRI, a spine care team that focuses on pain management, arthroscopy specialists offering total joint replacement, hand surgery, and complete rehabilitation services. Doctors Chow, Houle, Ahn, Kowalski, Freehill, and Smith stand ready to serve you today with offices in Mount Vernon and Centralia and satellite offices in Benton and Nashville. Find out more online at orthocenter-si.com.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. By now you have heard about our new One Checking product. The new One Account is a high interest earning, free checking account designed for everyone. Unlike other banks that pay interest on higher balance, this account pays interest on all balances. From high schoolers to Warren Buffett, One will work for you. You can talk to one of us at 244-3000 and learn about the details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you with us, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be. I just refigured something, and very likely familiarity will be big in 5A.
I have a feeling. So we'll get to that a little bit later on the program. At the moment, though, we talk with Johnny Hollis. He is the head coach of the Cecil-Lear Waltonville Woodlawn Red Devils. Coach, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
I know, and I try to be an amazing cheerleader at times. I don't want to say amazing, that sounds conceited, but I try to be a big cheerleader. And I'm a fan of Red Devil football. I've been a fan of yours. I've been a fan, of course, of Coach Shadowwood's prior. But, I know the season did not end the way you wanted it to, but with a young team like you have there, I think there's a lot to look forward to in next year, and, of course, a lot to look back upon favorably in 2013.
Yeah, I appreciate the fan support. We're obviously disappointed in the way the season went. Kind of went the opposite as it did last year. Similar in that we got off to a kind of a rough start, but then we just weren't able to win any games towards the end of the year, which was very disappointing. But there is, I think, a lot of upside to our team, the guys that will come back next year, and there's a lot of bright spots even in last night's game from some younger guys, and there's a lot to build on. It's hard to see it right now, but there's things there and things in place and young guys coming along that are going to help us down the road.
One thing last night as the scores were coming in, your team was down at 1.28-8. I think, do you have to be kind of happy and proud of your younger guys for battling back and getting it to at least a less than a touchdown advantage before losing last night?
Yeah, absolutely. I probably ripped them at halftime more than I ever have. I was just very frustrated, and I didn't want their season to end like that with them, and them having regrets later on. And they took that challenge. Excuse me. They took that challenge and came out the second half, and especially the fourth quarter. I mean, we were able to put a lot of points on the board in a hurry. We went to the air and put up 22 points in the fourth quarter. So we were right there at the end. We just couldn't get a stop on defense, and I think we would have scored again and maybe pulled it out. But they didn't give up. We didn't play like we should have, but we didn't give up.
Well, talking about last night, of course, the season ends for you right now, and you had a group of seniors that's been a part of a lot of successful football teams down there. Talk about your seniors that played their final game last night as Red Devils.
Yeah, it's just a good group of guys. I mean, a group of good kids, and it's unfortunate that we couldn't have a better season. I'd like to send them out on a better note, but as we talked to them last night, we just told them that we loved them, we cared about them, and that they were always a Red Devil to us, and that if they ever needed anything to, not to hesitate to pick up the phone even 5, 6, 7 years down the road. And it's important to me to have a part in their life. It's a huge responsibility, but a huge privilege as well. And I try to get them to look down the road a little bit. I know they're young and they live for right now, but I kind of mentioned about, guys, when I see you, in 6, 7, however many years with your families, and you're a good dad, you're a good husband, you go to work every day and provide for your family. I said, I'm going to be very happy and proud to know that I had a part in that. And so I think there's several guys there that are going to do their families proud, their communities proud when they graduate.
Moving on, of course, Monday's a different kind of day. It'll be weird for you and your staff and players, no practice or anything else. What's the routine in the off season? Do you take time off? Do you step back in and assess things already? Or what's kind of the schedule for the off season for the Red Devils?
Yeah, we usually take a little bit of time off. Here towards the end, we'll probably have a staff meeting pretty soon and just kind of look at who's coming back and where to plug guys in spots already and try to get just an overall plan in mind and where we're headed, get our off-season conditioning lined out. We'll probably take off till after Thanksgiving just to give the guys' bodies a break and let them unwind a little bit. We got several guys on the team that like to hunt and do other things, and so I think it's important for our coaches too, because if you do too much, there's there's a time where you'll get burnt out, and we don't want that for our kids or our coaches. And so we will take some time off, but then we'll start getting after it, and the long off season will start.
The Black Diamond right now is a mess at the top, and we were curious to know, because we knew you would know, is El Dorado, Fairfield, and Chester is all muddled at the top if El Dorado can win on the road today. Who gets the bid as far as the automatic bid for winning the conference, and how is that all done within the Black Diamond?
Yeah, it'll be according to wins and losses, obviously, but then that'll be squared away, but then they'll come back down to opponents. And then sometimes, guys, it even comes down to points for and points against. So it just depends on how far down they have to work it. And it's frustrating. I mean, sometimes I know that our teams have been there before. There are times where there'll be 2 or 3 gold footballs. So I don't know. It just depends on how things go today, obviously, and then they'll start breaking it down a little bit at a time and see how it goes. But that's 3 really good football teams. I'm not shocked last night by Fairfield going and getting a win at Chester. I really felt like as the teams we played, like as far as teams playing as a team, and guys all just being unselfish and doing their job, I felt like Fairfield probably was the best one. I know we got drummed by El Dorado, but Fairfield, as far as everybody being on board and in with the plan, and you could tell the guys were real coachable. Guys were scrappy. They're not a big team, but they play extremely hard. So that's 3 good football teams, and I look forward to see what they're going to do in the postseason.
As far as anything else goes, you look at the rest of the year, you've got something to build on with this young group. As far as, letting them have time off and whatnot, you start building towards next year. The schedule flops over. It doesn't change with the conference teams. What kind of goals are you setting now for you and your staff as you go into 2014?
I mean, obviously, we always would like to be near the top of our conference, and our goals are always conference championships. And I think, I don't know, that's just one of our main goals. We want to finish towards the top of the conference, if not at the top. We're realistic with our kids. And we don't want to shoot too high, but at the same time, we don't want to sell our team short. We want to give them something to reach forward to, and we always would like to make the playoffs. And so, that was really hard on our coaches and our team last night. Just realizing that we didn't reach those goals that we had this year, and those were the same goals this year. So that'll be some of the same goals next year, and we're just going to keep working at it. And guys are going to get in the weight room, and guys are going to work on their ball skills and everything in the off season. So you've got to have those goals in place. And sometimes you don't always reach them, but if you don't have goals, you're not going to go anywhere.
Well, before we let you go somewhere, we got to ask you one last time this football season, WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week, and this week's question is, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
That'd probably be a Milky Way.
Oh, nice. You have those stored away there at school every day so you can get a shot at them all the time?
You just got to keep them in. You got to keep them in fun size around here where you can hide them and the kids don't find them.
There's probably kids known as adults that probably steal from you or take things, don't they, as far as that goes?
Hey, Shane Garner probably the first one.
See, we need information like that with basketball coming up because that's the kind of things we got to keep those guys like him in check.
Right. Mm-hmm. You never know who's going through your desk when you're on PE duty, so recess duty.
What? Okay, let me throw another name out here. You said PE duty and desk. Coach Metcalf, one of those two that likes to sneak in every once in a while?
Hey, he would probably take it and then probably get double his money on it somehow.
Fact.
A primo deal of Shasta, correct? Is that how that goes?
Hey, yeah. There's no doubt he tried to trade me Shasta for my car and everything else. So he's a wheeler and a dealer, man. Anything he touches turns to gold. So.
Oh, my gosh. Coach, it's been a great season to have you on the Saturday Sports Show, and we appreciate your time each and every week. And it's hard to believe that the regular season is over, but we can't wait to do it again starting next August.
Hey, guys, I really appreciate the coverage and all the support and encouragement and getting to talk to you guys every week. It's been fun on Saturday mornings knowing that we'll get to talk to you. So thank you from Red Devil Football. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. That's Johnny House, of course, coach of the Sesterville, Waltonville, Woodlawn Red Devils. They'll be back at it and better than ever next season. Of course, we'll talk to him again starting with the Black Diamond Conference preview in August. And it's hard to believe, like we said, the regular season's over. But our next few guests, of course, I have a feeling we'll be able to talk to week after week after week as the playoffs ensue. We'll have Todd Rushing, WMIX sports correspondent, next after the break here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
There's nothing better than fall. Baseball playoffs, a chill in the air, and the new model year on the lot at Ford Square, Mount Vernon. Hi, Roy Schmidt, Ford dealer at Ford Square. 2014s are here, and 3 of America's favorite vehicles are stronger than ever. Ford Fiestas have unbelievable fuel economy, and right now you can pay only $14,311 plus tax, title, and destination. The 2014 Ford Focus also has great fuel economy. How about just $15,663 plus tax, title, and destination? I'm not done. The Ford Fusion is back and better in 2014, the perfect midsize sedan. If you're a Farm Bureau member and financed through Ford Motor Credit, you can drive a new Fusion home for just $18,814 plus tax, title, and destination. The 2014 model year means new deals on new vehicles. Come see one of our associates at Ford Square, 1501 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois, or find their inventory online at fordsquare.com.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Our next guest, of course, famed WMIX sports correspondent, Todd Rushing. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
You know what? I have a feeling that last night turned out to be the game you thought it would. A close one between the Chester Yellow Jackets and the Fairfield Mules, of course, along with a great stop to eat. And sounds like it was just a good night all around for high school football.
It was. It was even a nice cool. I got a little cooler than what I wanted. It was a nice night. It's by far the best football game I've seen all year as far as competitive games in the end.
Last night, of course, Chester, for those listeners that may or may not have heard or been to Chester's football field, describe what goes on at the football field there in Chester, what it looks like, what the atmosphere is.
Well, it's just a great answer. I think it's one of the best places to watch a high school football game in Illinois because it's a natural theater. You know, you got those hills surrounding it, and that's where I went. I took my lawn chairs and sat over on the hillside there where you're looking down. It's just a great venue for football, and they've got quite an atmosphere down there with the tradition that they've built up here in the last few years and winning, and it was pretty exciting senior night, but a little disappointing for them last night.
Chester, of course, last year went 9-0, got beaten in the first round by Althoff out of the South 7 in Class 2A. This year they had the 19-game winning streak and the Black Diamond going into last night. Did you sense a little bit of pressure for them having to have that winning streak hanging over them as they played Fairfield last night?
Well, I would guess that's what it was. You know, I could tell that. I didn't think they were playing very well the first ball game. You know, I thought Fairfield come out really well prepared and really ready to play, and Chester seemed a little almost lethargic to start the game. And then the second half, they come out ready to go and scored twice and tied got within 2 on it. That drove their extra points. Those extra points killed them last night. They didn't get their extra points made, and that was the difference. But yeah, I thought they played much better the second half. It felt like something was bothering them the first half. I don't know what it was. The tension of that winning streak with all the conference championships, senior night, or all of it combined, but it seemed like there was something on their mind.
Last night, of course, you saw that game. Fairfield's a team that everybody's kind of been skeptical of. You know, they lost El Dorado. They beat up on everybody else in the Diamond. This was kind of a game to give everybody maybe some more plausibility as regards to Fairfield. Has Fairfield, in your mind, with this win, kind of went up in rankings for you as far as the Mules in the playoffs?
They were a very nice team, and I wondered. I don't know about them that much. I was kind of wondering if they had some kids missing when they lost earlier in the year because they have a real nice running back, number 22, and I could tell he had his leg all wrapped up, and he was the key element in that football game last night. He just kept making play after play after play when they really needed it, and big runs and great catches, and a very nice physical football team. They controlled the football. I really only recall one time I think that Chester actually stopped them themselves defensively. Other than that, they put the ball in the end zone every time they had the ball.
The Black Diamond, of course, gets all these teams in. You know, El Dorado and Vienna play this afternoon, and you've been looking a lot at River to River. You've coached in River to River. You've coached against Black Diamond schools. What do you see as the main difference between the Black Diamond and River to River as far as when they battle on the football field?
Well, I think the big thing is it's almost hard to describe. I think the upper tier, the Black Diamond teams that compete in the River to River, most years on a year-to-year thing, and some years not. This year, I think those two teams could compete very well, and the River, I think the River to River's down. I think it'd be very good competition. But I don't think that I haven't seen a lot of the Black Diamonds, so I should say. But those games last night, that ball didn't go in the air unless they had to put it in the air last night, where you see more in our conference, River River, in the last few years, it's kind of evolved. It used to be that way, and it's evolved more where it's a passing league, and you see teams putting there as one of their main options rather than a necessity. And I think last night when I saw it, although they did a nice job throwing it, both of them, they didn't do it unless they really had to. It felt like they needed to.
Last night, of course, other games around the area, big playoff implications, conference championships as well. Anything as you perused through the scores or saw highlights that kind of stood out to you as maybe teams that have some momentum and doing well going to playoffs, some other teams going in and maybe going, wow, what are we going to do when the playoffs start?
Well, I think the game you guys covered last night was a I know Mount Vernon's really got a solid team and improved a lot. I think that had to be a little bit of a shocker to a lot of people because Mount Carmel, usually when they're an 8-0 football team, they're a really solid football team with the schedule they play and the tradition they've had. And Mount Vernon trying to improve and go and to upset Mount Carmel last night, I think was a big thing to get some momentum for them going to playoffs. And one of those things that maybe has Mount Carmel look at themselves saying, "Hey, what's going on here?" So.
Well, and of course, taking a look at some scores from around the area tonight, were there any real surprises to you?
No, maybe the distance to score, the gap in the Heron and Anna game. I saw them both, and I really thought Heron here lately was one of the most improved teams I had seen, and I thought they would win that football game. But they put the whipping on AJ. They did down at AJ. That was that was a big thing right there, and I think that's got to be an eye opener for somebody who's going to get Heron in the first round of playoffs.
Yeah, fair enough, I think, and of course, Todd Ford let you go, and of course, hopefully you'll continue on through the postseason with us. But WMIX Sports social media question of the week this week is: what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, well, it's just my favorite candy. Anything chocolate. It doesn't have to be Halloween. I'm pretty scary about chocolate year round. That'd be my favorite one. It's probably some Reese's peanut butter cups.
Nice. I have a feeling that Reese's Cups are going to be a favorite among many today, but Coach...
Yeah, we try not to buy them here at the house because there's usually none left for the kids when they get here.
The big kids take over is what happens.
Yeah, the big kid takes over.
Very nice. Amen to that. Coach, we appreciate the time this regular season, hoping it continues into the playoffs, and maybe we can talk to you again next week.
Yep, I'll start looking tonight and see where a game I might want to go to. That'll be an interesting show tonight.
Beautiful. We'll love it. Coach, thank you again. That's Todd Rushing, WMIX Sports correspondent. Don't forget about the WMIX Sports social media question on Facebook right now. Find us under WMIX Sports. We'll take a break. When we come back, it'll be John Shadowins. We'll talk about his game last night here coming up on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Kevin Snyder with a look at your next rad weather. Today will be partly sunny and breezy with a milder afternoon, high 64. Then a clear and cold night tonight with less wind. There will be a widespread frost and freeze late at night, low of 29. Cooler tomorrow with mostly sunny skies, high of 56, and a low tomorrow night of 32. Then milder Monday with clouds and sun, high 65. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Backaches, bad hips, rickety knees? Why not try aquatic therapy? The Red Lake College Aquatic Center has more than a swimming pool. Try a 6-lane, 75-foot lap pool, along with a whirlpool 10 feet in diameter and a 10-foot by 20 hydrotherapy pool. Aquatic therapy is very affordable. In many cases, the tuition is waived entirely. With special access and dressing areas for the elderly and physically challenged, getting in the water is easy. Experts are on hand to assist with various areas of aquatic fitness and rehab. Call 437-5321 extension 1207 or visit rlc.edu.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim, a skilled cardiologist. Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
And we welcome you back on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Our next guest lucked into Heron AJ last night. He is WMIX sports correspondent John Shadowins. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
You know what, 42-14, the Tigers took care of the Wildcats last night, and was it what you expected it would be?
I had anticipated a little bit closer game, but I'll tell you what I didn't anticipate was how much the Heron Tigers have improved. I saw them, I believe it was week 4 against Benton, and at that time I thought they were a mediocre team, maybe a 5-4 team in a regular year. I'll tell you what, the Heron Tigers are for real.
Heron's kind of been a project in progress through the year. They had a couple of kids miss for other reasons, not injury-related or other things. They get them back. They started finding their footing about week 3, week 4, and have rolled through everybody since then. For a 4A school, do you see them being able to make a deep run in the playoffs?
You know, it's luck of the draw, of course, you know that. I might question their ability on defense right now. I don't know. You know what they did last night? That they were a bend but not break type outfit last night against Anna. Anna moved the ball a lot better than that score would indicate. But Heron would buck up in the red zone and do a good job. So maybe I shouldn't question them there. But I tell you what impressed me the most was the methodic, machine-like quality of their offense. They remind me a lot of those Mike Rude 1990s teams at Johnson City, with the way they ran that double tight wishbone. They were just a machine.
Pounding offensive line up front as well for the Heron Tigers. AJ, last thought on that game that you saw. AJ's kind of a team banged up. As far as they go, do you know how healthy they were going in last night, and if what their plans are for next week? Were they hiding people? Were they holding people out waiting for next week, or what do you know about them?
Yeah, you know what? They had enough weapons last night offensively. Reed and Kemp, of course, are the straws that stir the drink there. Their good little wide out number 1, I forgot his name. He wasn't in the game last night, but they have another one as well that they can play. So they had enough weapons to move the ball. The problem is whenever you're hiding people and moving pieces around to hide, defense is where you can't hide. Because the other team, if they have a good coaching staff, they're going to find the holes. And Anna has had a hard time on defense this year.
Last night, the Black Diamond, that big upset where Fairfield ends a 19-game winning streak against Chester on the road, makes a mess if El Dorado can win at VG today. We want to know how the Black Diamond sets that up as far as who gets the automatic bid and if it's a sharing title or if there's a point system involved to decide who gets all those rewards.
Well, first, as far as the Black Diamond is concerned, the conference itself, I don't believe, has any say-so as far as the automatic bid goes. And the conference does not recognize head-to-head. It's strictly record alone, so if El Dorado wins today, there'll be 3 golden footballs handed out. I think the way the automatic bid, and it really doesn't matter, it's academic because all the teams are 8-1, but I think the way the automatic bid works, and if with identical records, identical opponents, of course, it'd be identical playoff points as well, would be a coin flip.
Moving on around Southern Illinois, of course, we saw an exciting game last night. Mount Vernon upsets Mount Carmel, but knocks them out of the ranks of the unbeaten. And then, Carbondale gets in the playoff. Benton gets shut out. They're not in. Murphy wins, but they don't have enough points probably. Anything that stood out to you last night that kind of says, shocking or surprising or something that's going to got your eye on heading into Week 10?
Well, I hate to say it, but, Alvarado getting their first win against my school, Cesar-Valliere. Happy for Coach McElroy and the Alvarado kids, what they've been through. Breaks my heart. I don't know how hard our coaching staff works at Cesar-Valliere and those senior kids, such great kids. That was a bit of a shock to me for Alvarado to beat Cesar-Valliere like that.
What do you do now? Do you get your map out and plot things today, figure out points and all that when all the games come in? What does John Shadowins do on playoff Saturday?
back in the 90s, I was the biggest duck in the pond as far as having my map out, and I just loved it. And what I figured out, banging my head against the wall for 10 years, was I had no idea how things were going to shake out. It was when I was Ross Babington's assistant, it was my job week 9 to anticipate who the opponent was going to be and go get a first-hand look at them. And I'd say I was successful about 50% of the time, figuring out week 9 who our opponent would be. Of course, there were fewer teams to look at then. Back in a 6-class system, fewer teams made the playoffs, so it was a little easier than it is now.
So with that, it has to be easier. I mean, I'm one of those that has to look at. I think the IHSA needs to be more uniform in things. Either have everybody go 1 to 8 or 1 to 16, but don't break it up into different ways for different classes. Keep everything uniform. Is that kind of what you like to see as well in the future?
Yeah, I believe so. I just, you know what, it's just a great time. No matter how they do it, it's a great time of year. It's so exciting, and one of the best nights of the high school football season, even though no games are being played tonight. Just seeing where everybody's going to go, what time you're going to play, the hustle and bustle, coaches calling each other. It's just a great fun time.
You've coached and been there. You've played teams, obviously, in the playoffs that you haven't seen before. You've had to go against teams you've seen already in the regular season. What's the better thing for as a coach? Do you want to see somebody different, or would you rather see somebody you know as far as the first round or two of the playoffs?
Oh, we always want to see someone different. We always want to test our mettle against another conference, against a team our school had never played before in our history. That was always so exciting.
This year, next week, brings a lot of people traveling around the state of Illinois. What was one of the toughest playoff atmospheres you ever had to coach in or coach against, as they would say?
Wow. I think back to one night at Carlisle whenever it was so cold, the wind blowing off. I think you might have been there that night. I think that that was so tough. It's because we had a snowstorm on the way home. That was tough, hostile atmosphere. Greenfield, that was one eerie experience down at the bottom of a cliff, and the hunters in their coveralls shouting things that I can't repeat on the radio at us. I mean, it's so much fun. I mean, you take it in the right vein, of course. You get harassed and whatnot, but it's all in fun.
Casey Westfield 96 reminds me as well, because I remember how cold and windy it was. Casey Westfield coaches were in shorts, and I remember buying hot chocolate. By the time I got 3/4 of the way around the track, it was froze on top. I do remember that as well.
I forgot about that. And do you remember our dressing room?
Yes.
It was cranked up to about 95 degrees. We couldn't stay in there. It was so hot. So I'm not sure that was an accident or not.
Well, that and the coaches were sent up a telephone pole and a deer stand, or somewhat of a makeshift for eye in the sky for coaching. I think that was at Casey, wasn't it?
I believe it was. And I remember our AD at the time saying, boy, I hope we can coach them one time so we can set one of our deer stands up on one of the light poles.
Yeah, and that was when the light poles at SV used to lean a little bit on that east side as well, too. That would have been more of a fun experience for a visiting team.
You better believe it.
Coach, that brings us to the WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And this week we want to know, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
It's hard to beat a good old Snickers bar. I think that's what I would have to take.
Well, we can tell you that somewhere in your building, Milky Way bars are hidden. We won't say which football coach has them, but he's got them hidden if you ever need a snack somewhere in your building.
Well, if there's hidden candy anywhere, Metcalf will find it, so I'll just ask him.
I was getting ready to say, if it comes from Coach Metcalf, don't buy it, because it could it could be Coach Hollis's.
You can't afford it. Yeah. Coach Hollis mentioned everything he touches turns to gold, kind of like a Twix cover, because he tries to trade everything for a Shasta.
For sure.
Coach, can't wait to do this again next week. Hopefully you'll continue on with us, of course, in the postseason, and we'll continue to do it until the football season's over.
Absolutely, guys. We'll see you.
Awesome. That's John Shadowins, WMIX sports correspondent. When we come back, of course, in the Saturday Sports Show after a break, we will have your WMIXsports.com scoreboard once again. Stay tuned. It's all coming up. Presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
The tradition of fine vehicles and great service continues at Second Chance Auto. They've been providing quality cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs for families like yours for over 33 years, and many are priced under $10,000. Plus, most have a 3-month or 3,000-mile warranty. Bank rate financing available with instant approval. No gimmicks, no pressure, just honest deals on great vehicles from your friends and neighbors at Second Chance Auto, living and contributing back to the community they serve. Located on Route 142 East in Mount Vernon, call 244-4582.
If you can't pick us up where you live, move. This is WMIX, Mount Vernon, Marion, another Withers Broadcasting Station.
Attention all Medicare Part D pharmacy patients. The annual enrollment period begins October 15th and ends December 7th. And the Medicine Shop Pharmacy is ready to help you. Stop by or call to make an appointment with Eric Black or Tracy Adams. They'll review your current prescription plan and help you manage your Medicare dollars. Here's pharmacist and pharmacy owner Eric Black.
What we offer to our patients is to sit down with them and answer questions that they may have about their medications, really with the end goal of being to maximize their dollars, because that's, after all, what patients really want. We'll take appointments, we'll sit down with them, take as long as it takes to help them choose a plan that is effective at meeting their needs.
Remember, the good folks at the Medicine Shop Pharmacy are never too busy to take care of you. They look forward to understanding your healthcare needs and will focus on keeping you well. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
To call to make an appointment, call 618-242-8776.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Now is a great time to move your account to Community First Bank. With our new One Account offering the highest interest rate in the market, free checking, and CD specials delivered by people you know and trust, why would you not bank with the market leader in Jefferson County? We offer 5 locations with 7 ATMs and have been serving the Jefferson County market since 1906. Stop in and see why our bank is the fastest growing bank in Jefferson County. Community First Bank, welcome back to personal banking. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Of course, it was a wild night of high school football last night as we wrap up the regular season. It's 100% complete now. Going into the postseason, which will start on Friday and Saturday, but a lot of crazy scores from last night.
Well, Mount Vernon opponents last night. Rochester beat Jacksonville 49-24. Mascoutah beat Centralia 44-7. Altoff beat Triad 40-35. Marion beat Normandy out of St. Louis 62-12, and Carmel beat Harrisburg 42-14. Black Diamond last night. Carmel over CZR 56-30. ET beat Cesarville Waltonville Woodlawn for the first time since 05 40-30. Fairfield over Chester 36-32, and JC beat Hamco 27-2. At the Central State 8, interesting category for Mount Vernon fans. Chatham beat Springfield 20-6. Rochester, of course, beat Jacksonville 49-24. SHG beat Lanphier 49-zip. And Taylorville beat Springfield Southeast 17-7. Moving on down the road to the Southwestern Conference, it was Belleville West over Alton 24-7. East Side beat Collinsville 42-7. Edwardsville over Beast 20-0. And O'Fallon beat Granite City 63-33 in the overgame of the night. In non-conference play, Breese Central beat East Alton Wood River 62-14. Muhammad Seymour beat Effingham 40-6. Highland, another team on the radar, beat Charleston 56-0. Mater Dei beat Waterloo 28-13. Mattoon beat Jerseyville 48-33. Mount Olive beat Westland 46-13. Those scores and more located at WMIXSports.com under the scoreboard section.
There they are. And, of course, we're going to get to our next guest here in just a moment on the Saturday Sports Show. He'll be Justin Townsend of the Fairfield Mules. We'll do that after a quick break. The Mules, did I get it backwards?
Yeah.
Who we got next?
We had to adjust.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Who's next?
We're moving on down. We got to talk a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Can't fill because we had to adjust for people. Yeah.
My apologies.
You never asked. I never told.
Well, the one
yeah.
That's how we had left it last night. I apologize. I was trying to make it easy this morning.
Yeah.
Well, any surprises last night to you? Not really. I think you can look either way with last night's game with Mount Carmel Golden Aces, of course, coming in highly ranked in Class 3A from the Associated Press. But other than that, I think it kind of Althoff Triad was closer than I thought it would be at 40-35.
Yeah, Triad gave them a run. Of course, Triad gives them a run lots. They gave them that last game every year between those two really makes a difference as far as what goes on and as far as closeness goes. Carbondale, Hamlin, Harrisburg, that wasn't a shock. Marion, Winnipeg wasn't a shock. Muscuda beating Centralia, that was kind of a shock to me.
It wasn't necessarily a shock to me. It was the score was a shock. 44-7.
The way it went down. I thought after last week, Centralia have a little edge about them, and losing to Mount Vernon for the first time in a couple of years, and they whatever happened, they came out flat or whatever, and to get beat like that at home is got to be very disappointing for a team that started 4-0 and lost their last 5. And I know injuries played a part in it. They started 4-0 and lost their last 5. Ouch. That hurts. That's Carbondale-esque back in the past. Of course, Carbondale had to win one to get in last night after starting 3-0.
What a crazy season it's been. And then you take a look at Hare and AJ. I know AJ, I think, has been battling some injuries. We talked about that with Coach Shadowins a moment ago. But, the improvement of the Tigers over the course of the season and, taking a look at a 42-14 win over AJ, and the Tigers finish up, 7-2 if I'm not mistaken. It's not a surprise that Heron beat AJ. It's a surprise that it was that lopsided to me. That's a surprise. And probably that Murphy shut out DuQuoin is a surprise to me.
I don't know.
It's not a surprise that Murphy won. I'm just surprised that the Indians went down that way.
Indians probably, at this point, knew it wasn't going to happen. 3-6. They have a 33-year straight conference winning record. They kept that intact. They were 3-2. It's 33 years in a row. First losing record since 1980. I think I tweeted. This team only lost. They didn't score many points this year. They only scored 93 points in 9 weeks. So not a big scoring outfit. So this was kind of a down year, and unfortunately for DuQuoin, after making that quarterfinal run last year, they don't get in again this year. And, of course, every school, it doesn't matter what, Mount Carmel, DuQuoin, all the good ones, unless you're a private school, figure out ways to go through a bad cycle.
And exactly right. And modern-day Waterloo, it doesn't – again, that's not a win for modern day that surprises me. I figured it'd be a lot tougher, a lot closer than that. Granted, I'm just going by the score. I don't have a box score in front of me from that game. Unable to be there, obviously. But I figured Waterloo would give a little bit tougher of a test than that. But, and then, we're taking a look at games from last night where Mattoon beats Jerseyville 48-33. Who knows? That could actually be a rematch next week if the cards stack right. So, it's just an interesting Week 9 of high school football. We look ahead to Week 10 without knowing anything. Coming up here and a little bit later on. But it's fun, and we talked about this off the break, and, of course, trying to possibly figure out who the Rams might play or who might go which class and things like that. But I just think it's fun to kind of take a look and get kind of an introspective of who might play who next week. But it's crazy. You have so many teams on the border right now of classes. A Highland could come up with 5A. A Highland could go down to 4A. Same with Jerseyville. Jerseyville could go up or down. It's just going to pin, and believe it or not, there are some games today that are actually going to have a great bit of impact on class. But, we were kind of talking about it in the Southwestern Conference last night. Of course, Belleville West ends any chance of Alton in the postseason. Alton went in 4-4. Of course, West beat Alton 24-7. Eastside never in doubt. They petitioned up to play 6A this year. No, they are in 6A with 1,400. They didn't have to petition up.
They didn't petition up. They're close enough. They're close enough sniffing 5A, depending on what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it's close enough you can smell their deodorant, let's put it that way. A lot of people are talking about.
Of course, Eastside beat Collinsville 42-7. You had Edwardsville shutting out Belleville East. Belleville East now not going to be in the postseason. O'Fallon gets in. They have enough playoff points, trust me. 63-33 over Granite City, so they will be probably in 8A. It's possible, I guess, that they could fall down to 7, but they have high enough enrollment to be in the largest class in high school football. But you kind of take a look around, and for teams that were hoping that those three teams, or that Alton, those two teams, Alton and Belleville East, would win to help knock some other teams down. A couple of teams are going to get knocked up because of that, and you just kind of take a look at how Week 9 can impact things with some of these 4-4 bubble teams. And of course, there's not going to be any 4-5 teams get in this year. There's going to be a lot of 5-4 teams that aren't going to see the postseason. And one I think you have to look out for, the Pinckneyville Panthers, who in a battle of 4-4 teams. Last night it was kind of a try as you might, but it may not pay off in the end. Pinckneyville does defeat DuPo last night, but probably not going to have the playoff points to get there. Altoff's not even a lock.
I don't think Pinckneyville or Murfreesboro have enough. I don't see it happening. I don't see them, either one, being able to get in the playoffs based on their points. They need a lot of things to go right last night, and it didn't quite happen for them as far as that goes.
Well, now, we talked about the Centralia Orphans a moment ago, and they needed a win last night to have a chance to get in, and they only had 32 playoff points going into last night's action. Not sure where they actually finished, but it's possible the Orphans would not have had enough, and more than likely they would not have had enough to get in the postseason, even with a home victory last night against Mascoutah.
Well, you needed to win, and they didn't. Again, they battled injuries. They battled an uphill climb. They won their first 4, lost their last 4, then lost last night. Injuries, whatnot. Man, you just feel bad for Ray Collin because he had that thing rolling at 4-0, and they were looking at playoffs and long winning streaks and injuries and whatnot. One thing leads to another, and it's harder to get things going around. And now out of the playoffs, and unfortunately for them, they will not get to see the playoffs this year after losing 5 in a row. One of those few teams that start out 2-0 and don't get in this case.
Well, and you take a look at talking briefly about the Orphans and the season that they had, starting 4-0 and losing their last 5. The injury bug hit them hard, and I don't think that's a testament to the job that the coaching staff did, because you take a look at what they were doing before this coaching staff's in place and the evolution of Orphan football, and you have to give Ray Collin and crew a lot of credit up there for it even being a 4-0 start. Many expected them to just kind of roll over after losing a player like Rashad Campbell and losing quite a bit of talent to graduation. But they come back with rattle off 4 straight wins, beat a Carbondale team that everybody thinks is going to go 9-0 prior to that point. Most, of course, the knowledgeable ones probably knew better. But and then rolling with 5 straight losses. Why are you looking at me like that?
No,
I think we knew that wasn't going to happen. But there are a lot of people ready to annoy Carbondale as go rolling 9-0 with the high octane offense early in the season.
Yeah.
But, speaking of high octane, though, Highland gets a 56-0 win over. It's not a what they would call a subtweet, I promise you. Highland beat Charleston 56-0 last night. The Bulldogs finished the season undefeated, and we talked earlier about a moment ago. You take a look at the Bulldogs, a team that could go 5A or 4A, but are going to make some noise either way, more than likely, depending upon who they get.
Yeah, and I think Highland's more likely in 4A, and good night if they get into 4A. I think the tough bracket around here will be 3A. I mean, there's some beasts in 3A around here. Greenville, Carterville, Mount Carmel. If Olney bumps down. I mean, there's some – that's what the thing is. You can't figure out, for example, anybody until all the teams get put in at 256 because – You can't figure because, like Mount Vernon's situation, if a couple teams bump down or bump up, that changes who's in 5A in a bracket down here. We got an idea. But if Highland goes 4A and SHG comes down, but then Mattoon goes down, it's a whole cluster right now what can happen as far as things go.
Well, and that's why it's fun to try to plot and pick and see if you're right. But odds are you're not going to get it perfect if you ever try to go through with a map and try to pin everything these days, because thing you have to worry about now in some parts of the state, not only geographical breakdowns, but whether or not because of mileage they're going to go halves or if they're going to go quadrants, or the days of 1 through 32 are done, but you never know. Maybe not.
Up north it's not.
No.
I mean, in the bigger 7 and 8s,
right,
where you have a majority of your teams clustered in one area, it's not.
Days of us seeing 1 through 32 in southern Illinois probably are going to be few and far between, if not extinct.
We saw 1 to 32 one year when DuQuoin had to go Montini in second round. That was the end of the 132 because too many people threw a big old fit about that one,
and rightfully so.
Yes,
I mean that's a long haul for a second round. That's a semifinal worthy matchup. Don't get me wrong, as far as travel, but sometimes that's how it shakes out, and we'll see what happens. Of course,
well, you definitely want to be at home.
Yeah,
because of that first round. Because let's go through last year. 72% of the teams at home won their first round games. 73%, 75%, 64%, 70%, 82%. You can see if you got to be at home, the bigger chances to win that first round game at home.
Precisely right, and there are some instances though where like conference schedule and strength of schedule can overcome being on the road. We saw that that's where your losses usually come in as far as a visiting team winning. It's like a 5-4 team with a little bit stronger schedule going in and toppling a 9-0 team whose schedule may be a little bit weaker. But more often than not, if you're the home team and you've been tested, you're going to be okay in that Week 10 football matchup. We need to take a break on Saturday Sports. When we come back, more high school football talk powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. Imagine this. You're driving down the road. It's dark as can be outside. Thank goodness you just had that left headlight bulb replaced. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see a thing. Now, close your eyes. Okay, don't close your eyes. You're supposed to be driving. Imagine noticing a slight twinkle off to the left, just above the ditch. What is that, you think to yourself? All of a sudden, whap! You've just encountered your first deer hit. The left side of your vehicle is beat up pretty bad. The next thing I want you to imagine is very simple. Picking up your phone and dialing 1-888-LANDERS to set up your repair. Deer claims are common, and usually a very simple process, which fall under comprehensive coverage. This is Chase Landers, asking you to allow Landers to be your collision repair shop of choice. Whether it be a deer hit, fender bender, or the regular, uh-oh, sorry mom, Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888-LANDERS, that's 1-888-LANDERS.
This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Wilt. I want to thank Mount Vernon and the surrounding area for continuing to support us over the past 5 years. If you have never sat down with someone to go over your insurance program, let me invite you into our office. Let us show you what working with the industry leader, represented by a local agent, can do for you. I'm located just off 42nd Street. You can reach our office 24 hours a day at 242-1421 or on the web at tonywilt.com. Thanks again, and go Rams.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's powered by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
That's Danny Zerwinski. I'm Chris Hugo. Glad to have you with us this morning, well into the 9 o'clock hour now. We talk Marion Wildcats football. Of course, they got a big 62-12 win over Normandy last night. They are 7-2 and rolling right now as they head into the postseason. We welcome head coach Kerry Martin to the program. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing well. Rams got a big win last night. The Wildcats got a big win last night. And, of course, you know, things are certainly rolling for Marion right now. Of course, it looks like you look back now to that overtime win against the Rams, and things have just continued to paramount for the Wildcats ever since.
Well, that was a huge game for us, you know, and we just think Mount Vernon's got such a good team, and to come back and get that win in overtime at Mount Vernon was a real confidence boost for us because of the respect we have for the Rams, and I just, you know, it really, I think, it helped our team really move into the next part of the season with some confidence and maybe a little bit of swagger, which we were lacking early on, and just, you know, also want to add what a great achievement for the Rams this year and Jared Shaner, and what an awesome job he's done. I'm just real proud to be a fellow coach with that guy, and just doing an amazing job there and doing it the right way.
South 7 right now, the way it looks, for sure. Mount Vernon, Marion, and probably Carbondale in. They have enough points. Altoff looking to get in as well. An up-and-down year. Kokia plays today. They were tough this year. Centralia started out hot, banged up late, got out of the playoffs. Again, a very balanced South 7 conference this year, but your team found its identity, I think, during the South 7 season. Is that what you and your staff saw as after 9 weeks of football's been done?
I would agree with you. You know, we started the season with a lot of new faces, some guys who were not varsity players a year ago, or if they were playing in a different position. And I think that hurt us early. We didn't have a lot of chemistry. We were inconsistent in a lot of positions. We would, you know, in football, you got to have 11 guys doing the right thing at the same time. We were having 8, 9, and 10 guys per play, but not 11, and not often enough. And I think as we got a little more experience those first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, when we really got into the conference schedule, we started getting more consistent, and we started cutting back on the mistakes. And I think we moved those puzzle pieces around and found the right combination of players in certain positions, and just things kind of came together. And kids kept believing, and we battled through those first 4 ball games, 2-2 record. But I think our kids learned from the losses in those early games. And you're going to lose. Make it something positive, you know, and try to get better from it. I think our kids and our staff did, and a great job by our staff. Just kept believing and kept working. And you're right about the conference schedule. We finally found ourselves.
Speaking of finding yourselves, one thing I've noticed since the Mount Vernon game, a lot of big scores in the first 5 weeks defensively your team gave up. But after that, 22, 7, 19, and 12. How has your defense improved so much over the last 4 weeks?
I think the biggest change in our team has been the defense playing better. I think our defensive staff has really simplified things, and I think our kids have responded to that. They're playing much more aggressive. They're making plays on the ball. Our turnover ratio has really gone up the last 5 weeks dramatically. I think, football is very much about making big plays, and I think our kids have made more big plays on defense than I've seen in several years. And I think the defensive staff has just done a really good job. And I think our special teams are much improved this year over last. I think that's made a difference, too. Our coverage and our return yardage are up and our extra points. So, it's interesting. You talk about the turnaround, and the offense has continued to play pretty well all year, but defensively and on special teams, now we've put all three phases kind of together, and I think that's really helped us be the more consistent team that we had to be.
Well, and of course, as we take a look going on to the postseason, some people like to kind of sit around and plot whom they may see in week number 10. Is that something your coaching staff likes to do? Maybe try to get an early discovery on whom you might see next week in the first week of the playoffs?
I think once we hit 5 wins, I think that I let them kind of take care of that. I know it's a lot of fun for a lot of my coaching staff to kind of play that game and look at the map and see who's in and check the IHSA website and I don't really get too caught up in that until I don't think about it too much until maybe today, just because I guess I just stay focused on the next opponent, and I know they do too. But I think they have a little fun, speculating once we get that possibility of being a playoff team. So we've looked at a lot of different scenarios, and of course you never know, but it's kind of fun to do, and I think I love the fact that in high school football, you got to earn your way in, and once you do that, then you've got the freedom and the opportunity to start speculating. And I know that's a big thing for our staff to do once we finally get to that 5th game.
Of course, I know the culture change has been complete in Marion, and now probably more of a business-like approach to making the playoffs for the Wildcats. But will you guys gather? Will you guys do anything special tonight to maybe watch or listen to the playoff pairings?
Well, we do as a coaching staff. We'll get together, but we'll get together as a staff and wait for the announcement and start figuring out what games we want to exchange and talk about game times and all that kind of stuff. But that's really the extent of it. We've given our kids off today and let them come back on Monday fresh and start preparing for the next ball game. But again, we've told the kids it's been a great season so far and a great finish, but we want to stay focused on the fact that we want to win games in November. And I think you put all this work in, and winning conference championships is awesome. Being a playoff team is just a great achievement, but don't be satisfied. And I'm sure everybody feels that way. I just don't want to be glad to be there. I want to get in the playoffs and try to make some noise and move into that next round. So we'll find out who we're playing tonight, and we'll go to work and try to keep moving.
Hey, speaking of moving, I got to say this, and I'm not trying to jinx anything, but Marion is bucking the trend because we watched other schools put in turf football fields, and they struggle for wins, like DuQuoin, Johnston City, among others. You guys are 4-0 on the turf. You think that kind of turf that you have now will be a hot-selling item for other schools looking to put football turf in?
Is that what it is? It's the brand of turf we got. So, it's funny you say that because as the turf was being laid, you'd be amazed how many people said that to me. That are you afraid this is going to be some kind of jinx or curse? And I said, well, it's worked out okay for Carterville, I think. And I heard that from a lot of people, and of course it comes down to the job you're doing as a coach and the execution and the preparation and the weight room and all that other stuff. I'm glad it's not about just buying turf and what brand, but joking aside, it's true. We heard that a lot, and I think. Sometimes it's just the run of kids you've got. I know Al Martin and Dan Mings are great football coaches, and then right now they're just going through a run of talent or maybe less talent than they're used to having, and it's not about turf. But it's interesting that you said that because I heard that quite a bit.
Hey, yeah, that's usually the talk. And before we let you go, you got a busy day, even though you're going to got the day off with everything going on. We want to ask you our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. And This week's question is, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Wow. I'm not a big candy eater, so I think caramel apples.
Nice.
Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah.
That's a nice fall
sweet,
festive.
A little sour, a little sweet. It's a great combination, but I think that's my favorite.
And so you go through a lot of them right now, watching film and whatnot, just chuck them one after the other?
I haven't really thought about them in a while. Like I said, I'm not a big candy eater. I'm more of a baked good, like cookie guy. But now that I say that, I may have to go out and find one today. Yeah.
Do you like the ones with nuts, or do you like them without nuts?
Either way, I can go either way on that. I'm pretty open, so pretty flexible on that. But I like them both.
I didn't know about the nut thing because I know you're surrounded by a nut and Coach Sema, so I didn't know how that would impact things.
Yeah, that's true.
Coach, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations to the Wildcats on 7-2 and another postseason appearance, and good luck with whomever you have next week.
I appreciate the time and the opportunity, and congratulations again to the Mount Vernon Rams.
Thank you very much. That's Kerry Martin of the Marion Wildcats, and his terminology, changing the culture, and I think you could say many years ago that culture had been changed, but just another playoff appearance for Marion another playoff appearance for Marion as I create words again here on the Saturday Sports Show. But I like where that answer went on the social media question. We're behind a little bit, but caramel apples, however you prefer to say it, definitely counts in my humble opinion. Of course, that is a festive fall food. So there we go. We'll have Ron Weinmiller coming up after the break, WMIX sports bracketologist. We'll talk with him about his thoughts on where teams could go coming up next. It's all brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
I'm Kevin Snyder with a look at your next rad weather. Today will be partly sunny and breezy with a milder afternoon, high 64. Then a clear and cold night tonight with less wind. There will be a widespread frost and freeze late at night, low of 29. Cooler tomorrow with mostly sunny skies, high of 56, and a low tomorrow night of 32. Then milder Monday with clouds and sun, high 65. Next rad weather from WMIX, Mount Vernon, Illinois.
This is Chase Landers with Landers Collision Centers. Imagine this. You're driving down the road. It's dark as can be outside. Thank goodness you just had that left headlight bulb replaced. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see a thing. Now, close your eyes. Okay, don't close your eyes. You're supposed to be driving. Imagine noticing a slight twinkle off to the left, just above the ditch. What is that, you think to yourself? All of a sudden, whap! You've just encountered your first deer hit. The left side of your vehicle is beat up pretty bad. The next thing I want you to imagine is very simple. Picking up your phone and dialing 1-888 Landers to set up your repair. Deer claims are common, and usually a very simple process, which fall under comprehensive coverage. This is Chase Landers, asking you to allow Landers to be your collision repair shop of choice. Whether it be a deer hit, fender bender, or the regular, uh-oh, sorry mom, Landers is here for you whenever you need us. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. 1-888 Landers, that's 1-888 Landers.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim. A skilled cardiologist, Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXSports.com. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
He is WMIX sports bracketologist Ron Weinmiller. Ron, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. A lot easier to figure out for Mount Vernon today than it was 2 weeks ago.
Really? What do you got figured out for Mount Vernon right now? Have you figured that far ahead in the future?
Firmly in 5A. I know a couple weeks ago you guys were worried about where they would maybe bump up to 6A. I think they're firmly in 5A. As far as probably winning last night, huge win, to do that, but probably just means you 100% avoided going to SHG. Maybe a matchup with Marion I can see, kind of like that.
That's kind of what I'm looking at, and of course it all depends on, if SHG is in the 5A bracket south, or if they go north, if Highland stays 5A or goes 4. A lot of factors. I like you. I'm looking at anything from Marion to Jersey to Chatham, as along that line as far as Mount Vernon goes.
Yeah, I like the Marion and Jerseyville. I think those are probably. I think that's what most people are predicting, and that's what I would say as well. Is probably right. That's probably what you got to think, and maybe you're surprised if it's not one of those two. If I had to be getting down to two possibilities.
What have you done football wise this week to get ready for this day, or have you done a lot of preparation planning after the games last night?
Yeah, I spent some time last night and some more time this morning. And, once the Rangers got beat, my attention in 3 and 4A kind of waned a little bit. But I was on staff up north with Greg Wood, who's now at Lawrenceville, and he's texted me a couple times wanting to know what I think. And my buddies at Fairfield, they want to know what I think. And so I've really kind of looked at 2A more than anything, and made sure that and got up to 5A a little bit just to kind of make sure that Mount Vernon was firmly in there, and kind of looked at maybe who they would have. But it's fun, everybody has their hobbies, and this is something I enjoy tinkering with, and I'm not too busy right now, so it's one of those things that I enjoy.
3A in Southern Illinois seems to be what's going to be the toughest bracket, with the likes of Mount Carmel, with Greenville, Carterville, AJ. I mean, this 3A bracket, if they go 1 through 8, could be an absolute dogfight to get out to the semifinals.
How about a second-round Mount Carmel-Carterville game?
I have heard that discussion this week, talking with some Carterville people, that they are kind of looking at a Mount Carmel-Carterville second-rounder somewhere in the future. That's kind of what they're looking at as well.
Well, and I think with Mount Carmel getting beat last night, it almost makes it book it. Because, I think had they won, they probably are the 1 seed in the quad, and maybe you don't see that game until the quarters. But I think now you can go ahead and that's my lead pipe lock of the week, I guess, because I don't see any way that if they do go, and I don't see any way they can't. But they kind of have some funny way of figuring mileage up there sometimes. I think that that's got to happen.
Well, and you mentioned 2A, and I'm a 2A guy because more and more teams are starting to go that way down here with enrollment declines. And what are you kind of seeing in Class 2A this year? I know the Mules, that's where they're likely headed. Quite a few teams in the South are 2A bound, I think, now more than ever. What are you seeing?
Well, I think it's like this. I think it's unfortunate, and just like we were talking about with Carterville and Mount Carmel, it's unfortunate with our geography down here, and we kind of have 2A schools and 3A schools, and you get up in the South 7, you got the 5As, but you're almost always going to have to go quads, and as a result of that, we're looking at a quad with Chester, El Dorado, Fairfield, Carmi. So you're talking half the teams at the conference tournament. And, I'll speak from, I love when we get to go to a regional and play. We've gone to Carmi in the past and played Mount Carmel, and then in the championship we played Fairfield. I love that. New people, all new to your kids, and that's what the playoff finish should be about, not, hey, we're going to play 3 conference teams again, and then if we happen to win those 3, then in the semifinals we get to go play somebody new. I don't think it should be like that. And unfortunately with quads, I'm afraid that's what's going to happen. I think you're looking at a quad with Chester, Fairfield, Carmi, El Dorado, Lawrenceville, those 5 pretty much locked in. With Newton getting beat last night, it kind of throws it into a little bit of a quandary, but I think you're looking at Staunton probably. So those 6, I think, are pretty much in stone. My only question, and I can't figure this out, I got on there and read this morning, and maybe you guys will know, Fairfield, Chester, El Dorado, all going to be 8-1, assuming El Dorado wins today. They all beat each other, so they're all going to have identical stuff. Does it go straight to the coin flip? I don't know, because there's a big difference between being the 1 seed in your quad and being the 3 seed.
What were we were told something that Chester, I think Johnny Hollis said something that Chester has it based on points, it goes on points for, points against. I guess they figure at. I know the River to River has a 10 and 10 system they use, which separates things, but allegedly Chester has the advantage depending on what happens today with El Dorado, Vienna, Goreville as far as points for, points against.
Okay, so Chester would be the quote unquote representative.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And then of
But
course
does that play into seeding?
Well,
That's
but the
my question.
crazy thing about the seeding, though, is that once you go by the playoff points, the combined wins of all opponents. You go by, which is going to be the same. You go by combined wins of defeated opponents, which of course is going to be the same. But I think after that, as far as the IHSA is concerned, it goes head to head. But when you have three teams tied like that, you're going to have the head to head. It's going to be crazy. I mean, number of teams played that qualified for the playoffs is going to be the same. Number of wins by teams that played that qualified for the playoffs are going to be the same. Points allowed in games would be the next. So it would be defensive points allowed in 2013. That's new this year. So that actually comes before the coin flip. So you're probably looking at points against when it comes down to seeding.
And that that's going to be a big deal to those guys. I mean, especially if you win that first game, and if you're the 3 seed. Let's say it's El Dorado, and they have to go to Fairfield. I'd much rather have Fairfield come to El Dorado if I was the Eagles, So that's going to be a big deal. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out tonight when the things come out.
Oh, I think it will. And when you take a closer gander at, the points against, and they're all right there. But, I mean, there is a slight edge in favor of the El Dorado Eagles, especially if they can put on another great defensive performance today, but that could just be in a head-to-head case. Well, I'm not sure if those rules change whenever it's 3 teams from a closed conference like that. I couldn't imagine it would, and I don't know how you would decide a coin flip between 3 teams either. So I think the IHSA has a very curious case today when this is all said and done.
And you just wonder. I mean, you would think it's happened before. In a closed conference like that, but. I think that'll be the interesting one to see because one of them's going to get Carmine, one of them's going to get Lawrenceville, and one of them's probably going to get Staunton. The way Carmine, Chase Saylor will probably be the best athlete on the field with any of those teams. I'm not so sure that I want to play them again after they just threw 60 up on Christopher last night.
Well, and of course, I'm glad you mentioned Lawrenceville, and the Indians are a team that are now on the Egyptian side of the Little Illini Conference. Their only 2 losses are to Alney and Robinson, if I'm not mistaken. So teams down here are going to get a taste of the Lawrenceville Indians, who pummeled cross-county rival Red Hill last night, and they could bring a little bit of a punch to the 2A bracket down here.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys get up that far, but Greg Wood, their football coach, I worked with him when I was up north, actually coached football with him for a year. He's a great football man, and he's a great guy, and he's a guy that I hope they don't draw Fairfield. I told him, I said, well, at least I get to see you both play. But that's a tough draw for somebody because that league is good. I mean, we played Robinson last year in the first round, and that was not the draw we wanted to have because they're a good physical football team, and I think that's what Woody always has, and that's what he'll bring into the 2A playoff.
Well, we know you're busy today. You got a golf scramble getting ready to go at noon at the Benton Country Club, so we'll ask you our final question, and it's our WMIX Sports Social Media Question of the Week, and it is, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Favorite Halloween candy? When I was a kid, my Aunt Dorothy used to make popcorn balls, and we always would go out of our way to go back there twice so we could get more popcorn balls. That's my favorite, and no one can ever replicate it because when she passed, she took it with her because she wouldn't tell anybody how to make them. So that's my favorite, and I'll never get it again.
Got the heat turned on, warm weather in Benton today for this golf scramble, or what's going on?
Hey, just for you and the people located in the southern part of the United States that are playing with you, we've got one heated cart and one only. So you guys can have that. How's that?
That works.
I don't have to see you whine all day.
Well, I'm not going to whine. I was just looking out because there, a couple golfers like your father-in-law and I are. We have to have everything just right before we show up in our contracts.
That's right. All riders have been met in your contract.
That's
you guys
right.
are good.
Yes.
Outstanding. Ron, best of luck with your scramble today, and thank you for being the WMIX Sports Bracketologist.
Hey, always look forward to talk to you guys in a couple weeks.
Awesome. That's Ron Weinmiller, of course, and Not sure if he means football playoff talk or if he means high school basketball talk. Either way, a couple weeks sounds good to me for Ronnie. So proud to talk to him again. Glad we can consider him a correspondent for us. And now we'll talk Fairfield Mules football with Justin Townsend after a quick break here on the Saturday Sports Show. It's brought to you by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Here's Jeff Schmidt for Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon.
The 2014 Impala, I can't say enough about this car. It is such a beautiful car, and the people that drive them are just so happy with the performance, the luxury, the ride and drive. They are so quiet. They compare them to more of the luxury import cars, and the style of the new Impala is second to none, and it's really a beautiful car.
Schmidt Chevrolet of Mount Vernon, 3423 Broadway in Mount Vernon.
What does technology sound like? Is it the clang of heavy machinery, the beeps and chirps of an electronic gadget? At the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center, technology sounds a little something like this.
It's the sound of a young girl excited because her mom's being released the same day as her minimally invasive surgery. Thanks to the Da Vinci surgical robot, our surgeons' hand motions are seamlessly translated into smaller, more precise movements. But surgery isn't the only way Good Samaritan is raising the bar for advanced healthcare in Southern Illinois.
That's the sound of a patient's health record being updated and stored electronically for immediate access by nurses, primary care doctors, and specialists alike. That's why soon, the new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center will use all electronic patient health records. Less paper translates to faster, better care for you. And that sounds a little something like this.
The new Good Samaritan Regional Health Center, raising a hospital, raising the bar.
High school sports are back, and your source for scores is WMIXsports.com. Also, find archived local sports broadcasts, video highlights, national sports headlines, and more right at your fingertips. Listen and watch live WMIX sports broadcasts from your desktop or any mobile device. Need a score? Want to see a sick dunk? Miss a game? Didn't get up in time for the Saturday sports show? That's right, it's all at WMIXsports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting. WMIXsports.com.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX and WMIXsports.com. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
With Danny Zerwinski, I'm Chris Hugo here on WMIX Mount Vernon, free service from Withers Broadcasting. Outside the window, don't know why I just did that. That's okay. Our next guest, of course, is the head coach of the Fairfield Mules. He is Justin Townsend. His team got a big win last night over the Chester Yellow Jackets. Coach, first question out of the gate, are you guys back from Chester yet?
We did it. We made it in. No, it was a long trip. Got back to the school about 12:30, and then by the time you copy film, load film on the computer, throw some jerseys in the washer, it was about 2:30 by the time I got home and in bed. But I tell you what, it was worth it.
So you had to follow Coach Weinmiller. That's why we're a couple minutes late as I texted you. Kind of like that same difference. What a game by your team last night. You go over there, you have a big lead. Of course, Chester fights back a little bit. Your team holds on and ends that big, long winning streak. That had to feel very good and a very short bus ride back from Chester last night with that win last night over the Jackets.
Absolutely. We held on is correct. We knew they were a second-half team. All year they've been in that situation, and they come out guns a-blazing in that second half. But our kids weathered the storm, had a long drive down to score and get back the lead, and then our defense stepped up when they had to. But, 2 years ago we went down there and lost by 1 point and got eliminated from the playoffs, and that's when that streak started. So that was a long bus ride home 2 years ago. Last night was a little bit shorter because, conference champs and 8-1 season, it goes a little quicker.
I noticed last night in the box score, you rushed the ball 74 times for 378. Is that correct?
I'm not sure, but I think the yardage is correct. I know between Grassu and Esmond, our fullback, they had over 50 carries between them, so I'd say it's pretty accurate.
Wow, ground and pound. You go to rush for 378, you throw for 63. A thing I see is you limited Chester to 168 rushing and 77 passing. Your defense has been the key down the stretch in a lot of your wins, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and some of that's a little skewed, but I think it goes back to the first half. We had the ball 18 minutes, And, one of their scores was a kickoff return. So, the Arties can be off a little bit because of that. But, we felt going in that our best defense was going to be our offense. Ground it down, as you said, grind it out, keep it out of their hands. And we were able to do that in the first half. It got away from us a little bit in the second half. We had they forced the 3 and out, and then we had a turnover, which is the one thing you can't do against Chester because they're going to make you pay. But our kids were resilient. They didn't hang their heads. They just kept battling, and they were rewarded in the end.
Here's the million-dollar question we've asked several people this morning. We've gotten yes and no's and don't knows. When you figure out, as far as you and Chester and if El Dorado wins today, if there's a 3-way tie, what's the system to figure out who gets the automatic bid? And then as far as who gets the ranking and playoff points based on order, because of obviously if there's ties and the same points, who gets what as far as all that's figured?
Well, as far as I know, first of all, our conference is not split. They're in the tiebreaker, so we are all BDC champions, tri-champs, I guess, if El Dorado wins today. They look at the point total scored between the 3 teams. So when Chester played us, Chester played El Dorado. When El Dorado played Chester, El Dorado played Fairfield. We played El Dorado, we played Chester. The point total that they gave up, I believe. And how that kind of goes, I think El Dorado maybe is 1, Chester 2, and us 3. I just know we're 3, and the point total, I believe, was 5 points, the difference. I mean, so you're looking at 3 pretty even teams, but I think that's how the rankings are going to play out.
Interesting how they're going to play out. That's good to know as far as you go into next week. What do you and your coaching staff do today? Do you sit down and try to figure out where and whom you're going to go, or do you just kind of let things fall out as they may after 8 o'clock tonight?
We let the kids enjoy what they accomplished. We sit back and enjoy it a little bit, and then 8 o'clock tonight it'll be all business. I mean, we can't figure out what the state's going to do. We've been sent to Pittsfield, Columbia. We've been sent all over. The difference is somebody's coming to the training yard this year, so it's going to be a little bit different feel. But we're on the northern part of Southern Illinois, per se. So a lot of times you don't know if we're going to go north or south or what they're going to do with us or across the state. So, we just kind of got to the point where we don't really try to predict too much. I think a lot of people projected us maybe to play Lawrenceville, but that was based on us going 7-2, and I think we kind of messed up some people's predictions by winning last night. So we'll see what happens.
Last question for you. We know you're on the road and you're busy today. Our final question is our WMIX Sports Social Media question of the week, and it is, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. That was easy.
Do you guys keep
me last week? I wasn't ready for that one, but that one was a little easier this week. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Can't go wrong there.
You keep those hid at school laying around your desk, or do you have to hide them from other coaches?
You got to hide them from other coaches. I tell you what, you leave those sitting out there, they're not going to be there when you get back.
Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll let you get to your day. We appreciate you sharing time with us here on the Saturday Sports Show, and good luck in the playoffs and the rest of this season.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's Justin Townsend, head coach of the Fairfield Mules. His team 8-1 after that big win at Chester last night. On the road, 36-32. That ended that 19-game winning streak for the Chester Yellow Jackets in Black Diamond play. At that, we need to take a break. When we come back, we'll finish out the show. We'll wrap up our high school sports scores. We'll let you know what's going to happen tonight and other things here on the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX.
Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. By now you have heard about our new One Checking product. The new One Account is a high-interest earning, free checking account designed for everyone. Unlike other banks that pay interest on higher balance, this account pays interest on all balances. From high schoolers to Warren Buffett, One will work for you. You can talk to one of us at 244-3000 and learn about the details. One, exclusively at Community First Bank. You will be one happy customer. Member FDIC.
If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. Hi, Roy Schmidt, Jeep dealer at King City Chrysler Center, Mount Vernon. The all-new, redesigned 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee is a sight to behold. Unrivaled, the all-new Grand Cherokee sets extraordinary new standards for performance, luxury, and attention to detail. From its daytime running headlamps to its power-heated folding mirrors with puddle lamps, ruggedly good-looking and muscular exterior profile, the 2014 Grand Cherokee is engineered with a style and elegance that's backed by the confidence of its all-weather capability and Jeep brand strength. Imagine how great that would look sitting in your driveway. The 2014 Grand Cherokee is truly the best of what Jeep is made of. Come see one of our associates at King City Chrysler Center at 1603 Broadway in Mount Vernon, Illinois, or see our selection online at kingcitychrysler.com.
Mount Vernon is home to many wonderful people and things, and that includes quality cardiac care from Dr. Ruzaik Ibrahim, a skilled cardiologist. Dr. Ibrahim's training and scientific accomplishments have earned his designation as a Fellow of the American College of Cardiology. His services range from preventative care to the treatment of advanced heart conditions. For an appointment with Dr. Ibrahim at Crossroads Specialty Clinic, call 241-9071 or visit in person at 4113 South Water Tower, Mount Vernon.
Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show. WMIX, WMIXSports.com. It's presented by Crossroads Community Hospital, more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
So glad you could be here with us this morning. Of course, we're here until 10 o'clock talking about some high school football, talking other things as well. Of course, Game 3 of the World Series is tonight on WMIX FM. 6 o'clock your pregame, 7:07 is your first pitch as the Cardinals return to Busch Stadium to take on the Red Sox. Of course, also an announcement tonight that the Mount Vernon Gridiron Club is hosting a celebration for the Rams football entry into the playoffs. That'll be 7:45 tonight at the MVTHS Auditorium. Celebrate with the Rams as they will see their playoff pairing announced tonight on IHSA.TV, of course, as the Rams will celebrate once their name is announced. You can join it. You can celebrate with the Rams coaches and players. That'll be tonight in the auditorium at Mount Vernon Township High School at 7:45. So we hope you'll take the time to enjoy that. Of course, Withers Broadcasting Data Communications also putting on their own playoff pairing show, of course, on our sister station Q106. That gets underway at 7 o'clock tonight. So there you go. There's your announcements for some things going on, of course, locally. WMIX Sports social media question, however, is on Facebook. Still plenty of time to go and give your answer. Facebook.com/WMIX Sports. What is your favorite Halloween candy? And I know it's not necessarily as simple as asking what your favorite candy is because, take, for example, Reese's Cups and Reese's peanut butter-related products. Have a bit of a different taste when they come out with the special shapes because they hit the market, they hit the stores, and are usually a little bit fresher than the cups that you'll find on the shelf that you don't know the shelf life or how long they've been there. So a little bit of a fresher taste, a little bit more peanut buttery, so to speak. So I understand, it's not the same as just asking what your favorite candy is, although mine is a candy you can get year-round. I would have to go with Almond Joy, my favorite Halloween candy, because I try to make that the only time of the year I eat Almond Joy because I will eat the entire bag. And I purposely, when I am handing out the Halloween candy on trick-or-treat night, try to slip back the Almond Joys and not give them to the kids. I'm sorry. I have plenty of other Hershey's products for you to enjoy, but you will not get my Almond Joy because I just buy the mixed Hershey's bag. Almond Joy comes in it. Kiddies, no. You'll get the Hershey bars. You'll get the Reese's. You'll get the Kit Kat. And by heavens, you'll get the Whoppers for sure. I don't want to keep them. But there's my favorite Halloween candy.
I go with the mix of the candied corn peanuts in a bowl.
Kind of like a poor man's payday type thing, I believe is the nomenclature. Not bad. Are they now? Is it the dry roasted peanuts you use, or do you have to use the honey roasted?
Just peanuts. It doesn't matter. Just peanuts.
Nice. One of it. It is what it is. Type scenarios. Pretty good stuff. Of course, we want to know your answer. Find it on Facebook, facebook.com/WMIX Sports. That is that. Of course, we told you earlier in the broadcast, talking earlier in the show, of course, as we were mentioning teams that were in locally, and we talked with Ron Weinmiller about, the 2A bracket in Lawrenceville probably coming down this way, and just a little about the Indians out the Little Illini Conference. But as you kind of take a look now, it's just cloudy at the top of the heap of teams that'll be in which class. And
cut lines 38. 39, I think. 40 is a little much this year. It's dropping as it goes.
Well,
Safe.
And you can't necessarily, and people swear by the IHSA.org, and they do a great thing with what they do with football each and every week, having the scores and things of that nature. But the playoff outlook is things as they sit right now or things as they sit at the end of each week. So, if you're using that to determine the class that your team is going to be in, you could be sorely disappointed by the end of the night because you still have to factor in the 4-4 teams that they show who won, who lost, who has the points, who doesn't. And then out of all those teams, the 32 you may see in that class right now, when they get this all factored out and get the 256 decided later tonight, may not be the 32 teams in that class when it's all said and done because the outlook won't be updated today. The outlook is done. The outlook is final as of this past Monday. So you'll have to wait until they announce the 32 teams because if they updated the playoff outlook with Week 9 results, there'd be no need for the playoff pairing show tonight because you could figure it out. All they would have to do is tell you whether they're sorting it out by quadrants or halves or what they would decide to do. You can figure it out for yourself. But here nor there. That is kind of a thing that you cannot really use to effectively determine whom your team is going to play in Week 10.
The outlook is as good as a weather forecast.
Sure.
Long-range weather forecast because that's all they're doing. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no whatever. It's kind of like having weather forecast 10 days out. You don't know. They don't know. You're just making it up based on things. So you have to wait till a lot of games around the state this afternoon, which I don't understand, but – you got to wait till those games get done, which is 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then you start looking at, who plays who and what, and playoff points and enrollments, and they'll take the biggest 32 and work their way down, and eventually there's a lot of shuffling that goes on. Mount Vernon's been 5 and 6A. Mount Vernon, Fairfield's been 3A, 4A, 2A. I mean, AJ's been 4A, 3A. Columbia's been 3A, 4A. So many teams have bounced up and down and everything else. And it's just one of those things you don't know where everybody's going to go until 5 o'clock tonight.
And it looks like the Diamond is most of those teams are going to go 2A. Your Carterville looks like
Goreville won't be.
Well, 3. I said most.
Okay.
Qualifier, thankfully.
They got to win first. Well, they're in. I mean, 5 will get them in. They'll be at 3A, and they'll have to play like a Carterville, Greenville,
that type.
Mount Carmel.
Eek. How do you like that triumvirate at the top of a 3A quadrant?
That's what I said. Mount Carmel, Carterville, Greenville, and the way it looks is your second-round matchup could very well be Carterville, Mount Carmel because Greenville's got 9 wins and more playoff points to do Carterville, and then Mount Carmel will be a 3. So, yeah, second round, Carterville, Mount Carmel at Carterville. That matchup's not happened, I don't believe.
I can't recall that matchup.
That would be a very
memory.
interesting matchup. A lot of people be looking on as far as that goes. Would that not be interesting? I mean, I just think that 3A this year down, and 3A doesn't even involve a DuQuoin, a Nashville, maybe a Harrisburg in past years, although they've been 4A. I mean, that bracket's tough, and you don't even have to include that. Only in 4A with Heron, that could be an interesting matchup. Heron's a team right now, the right 4A teams getting their way. They could do some annihilating as they go.
And we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting postseason, I think, in high school football, and who is going to be the team in the South that goes the furthest, and that's going to be the question because, let's face it, when you bring the teams from the North, intertwine them with the teams from the South, usually more often than not, the North wins out, and it's kind of interesting, just the different types, different brands of football you see throughout the state. So it'll definitely be something to behold, I think, by the time it's all said and done. We'll see who goes where tonight, of course. We'll keep you updated on social media tonight when the IHSA releases things. And one more time, just want to mention, of course, the Gridiron Club hosting anybody who wants to come tonight, 7:45. If you want to celebrate playoffs with the Mount Vernon Rams football team, the coaches, the players will all be there. It's at the auditorium tonight on the campus of Mount Vernon Township High School. 7:45 is when they're going to open the doors. Of course, the show will start at 8. It's going to be really cool. I think they're going to have their own sound system set up. They're going to have a projector. They're going to have everything they need to make it happen. And I think it'll be a fun night for the Mount Vernon Rams, and they certainly hope that you can make it out tonight. That'll be tonight at 7:45, again, at the auditorium, Mount Vernon Township High School. We'll keep you updated, of course, do our best on the social media, on Twitter and Facebook tonight as the pairings are released. And I think it'll be fun. It's fun to try to predict. It's fun to see if you're right. It's different than every other sport because everybody gets in every other sport. Not in football. I mean, it takes us. You have to work to get in, and it's fun to see who's going to be in and who's going to be out because folks will kind of want to rest on the laurels of 5 wins, and you can't do that unless you're for sure you have the playoff points.
Yeah, if you can schedule a weak schedule, you better win 6 games. And if your schedule's weak and doesn't have a lot of wins, you got to win those 6. If you don't win 5, you're going to be like Murphy, Altoff, Pinckneyville today. 3 teams that are sweating. I think Murphy and Pinckneyville don't have to sweat. I don't think they have enough. But very interesting times if you don't have that schedule set up the right way. Or like Mount Vernon, you're playing beasts, and you're playing, Rochester, Mount Carmel, and then, of course, Muscota Triad's usually a handful, and then the South 7. That's a tough little go for any school, and Mount Vernon came out with 6 wins, and all those playoff points, that just helps them in the seeding.
Yes, it does. And, of course, we will archive this broadcast when it's all said and done. We'll make sure of that. WMIXsports.com is where you'll find it. In the meantime, as we wrap things up today, you can follow us on Twitter to stay up to date at WMIX Sports. Find us on Facebook, or always stay up to date with all things going on WMIX Sports at WMIXsports.com. This has been the Saturday Sports for today. We hope you'll give us another chance next week after the 8 o'clock news right here on Saturday mornings. It's AM 940. And, of course, we told you, we'll tell you again, WMIXsports.com. We're back next week. And, of course, don't forget the Cardinals World Series tonight on the FM. Rams football next week, regardless of whom they play, will be on AM and FM and video at WMIXsports.com. Thanks so much for DC, for Jeff Crow, for everybody in the studio today. I'm Chris Shugo, reminding you to tune in next week on WMIX Mount Vernon. NBC News is now.